I was all for that. I'm sorry I jumped ahead of you that day. In fact, time to call this meeting to order, please. May I have the roll call, please?
Peterson,
Here?
Commissioner Terry,
Present.
Commissioner Hume,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Sperber,
Here.
Commissioner Vanderwell,
Here.
Chief Assistant City Attorney Cheryl Whiting,
Here.
Assistant Community Services Director Development Armando Bernal.
Here.
I will now open for public comment. Anybody has any items, either public comment on actions of this, on these items, or anything they can now address this commission for up to 3 minutes. If there be none, I will move for approval of the agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion's been approved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Now we need approval of the minutes. To review the possible approval of the minutes for September 15th, 2016.
Move to approve as submitted.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Now look for announcement of committee reports, please.
Vice Chairman Peterson, we have neither any announcements in committee reports, nor do we have any informational items.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to the public hearing. We'll open the public hearing for PCN 16041. It's a consideration of a possible action to continue use permit requesting to allow for a car wash and a vacuum station on site of 1.61 acres in the 4600 Whittington Road, Sparks. All right.
Vice Chairman Peterson, members of the commission, Ian Crittenden, Senior Planner. I wanted to preface by saying the applicant has requested to continue this item. A little loud. They are trying to work out their an entrance onto McCarran Boulevard with NDOT, and they haven't got that detail worked out. That does need to be done before we can approve or before the Planning Commission can approve a site plan. And so they're trying to work that out, so they've asked to continue this item. You should have also got a note today. An item I had overlooked is that they, by our statute, have 60 days from application to some sort of fulfillment, whether that's some sort of action by the Planning Commission. In order to request a continuance, they would go past the 60 days. So they've also waived their right to that timeline, thereby kind of making it so that you don't have to act today. Otherwise, the Planning Commission would have had to make some sort of action by our statutes. So, to give just a little background of this project, obviously they would like to amend the site plan, but I'll give you a quick overview of what they are proposing and so forth. This location is located here at the corner of North McCarran and Whittington Road. There's a small, I believe it's a dentist's office here, and the LDS Church here. This site's been vacant for a long time and has had a couple of different cases brought forward for rezonings and different things, and nothing's ever moved forward on it. This would be a request for a conditional use permit for a gas station, or not a gas station, I'm sorry, too many cases on my mind, a car wash. A car wash in the PO zoning district does require a conditional use permit, so that's why they would be requesting that. Part of that conditional use permit would address the site plan. As you can see on this site plan, this is what was submitted. Initially, they had a right-in, right-out on McCarran Boulevard. NDOT has, in their letter that you should find in your packet, has basically said they can't support that interchange onto their facility. The applicant's still trying to work out what will NDOT support and what will they not, and then they'll have to amend their site plan accordingly to make that circulation work for them. The staff had informed them that as it is, we can't recommend approval because of that the position of NDOT that they won't support it. Staff won't support it either, so we would have recommended denial had they not asked for a continuance. Now, we don't know what that new site plan will look like. That's why they asked for the continuance, and we will ideally see that at the next. They would like to continue it to a date certain so they can keep their notice alive, and that would be the November 17th meeting, I believe, is when we've decided we're going to meet next, or that this body will meet next. And so that is their request at this time, is that this item be continued. They also submitted site plans, elevations. These elevations that would have to meet our commercial elevation, commercial design guidelines, and this design does meet those guidelines for materials, colors, and articulation that's required. This meets those standards. So that's the end of my presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I do not believe that the applicant is here, but
Mr. Quinn,
yes,
would you
ma'am.
please read the email
oh,
into the record?
yes, of course, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This is the email that came earlier today. It said, Mr. Crittenden, in relation to the previously requested continuance for the above referenced Planning Commission item, which is the PCN 16041, which is this item, on the 10/20/2016 agenda, the owner and design team hereby waive the statutory timeline requirements. It is understood that by requesting the continuance, we are causing a timeline extension, and we appreciate the understanding and cooperation of the city. If you need anything further, please let me know. And that's from Dale Dunnett, the design coordinator at Miles Construction, who is the applicant for this item.
About the prior email that we got?
Requesting the continuance.
Yeah, does that have to be read in?
Just for safety's sake.
Yeah, you bet. In fact, can I borrow one of your topics? I know I have it in here, but rather than sit until I find it. The previous email was from Stacy Reed, who is the project manager for this project, also with Miles Construction. He said, Mr. Crittenden, on behalf of Surf Through Car Wash, owner and design team, I would like to request a continuance of the Planning Commission meeting review of the proposed Surf Through Car Wash located at 4600 Whittakin Road, Sparks, Nevada. We request that this be moved to the November 17th agenda for the Planning Commission review.
All right. Any further questions from this commission to the staff? Being none, I have to ask anyhow, is the applicant in the audience?
Commissioner,
If not,
you do need to open it up for public hearing, even though they've asked for a continuance.
I-
Okay, thank you.
it's if not, so I will open this for a public hearing. Anybody in the audience request put forward any information on this particular item, or free to step forward? If not being so, then we'll bring it back to the commission for a vote and a discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion for a continuance for PCN 16041 to date certain for November 17th, 2016.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. We'll now move on to general business items. PCN 16043 for consideration of a possible action on a tentative map requested for 140 single-family lot subdivision on a site 23.37 acres in size in a planned development, Pioneer Meadows zoning district generally located on the northwest corner of Wingfield Hills Road and Rolling Meadows Drive, Sparks, Nevada.
Vice Chairman Peterson, members of the Planning Commission, Ian Crittenden, Senior Planner. As stated, this is a request for a tentative map in Pioneer Meadows. As you can see in this vicinity map, this is, it's almost hard to describe sometimes, but the corner there of Rolling Meadows and Wingfield Hills Drive. As stated, this is a 23.37 acre area, and they're proposing 140 units on this site. So this section of Pioneer Meadows has an MF15A land use designation. That land use designation basically allows for multifamily or single family. The handbook indicates that if the developer would like to go with a single family option, they should follow the SFR 6, which is another designation in the handbook, to follow those guidelines for development. This layout that they propose meets those standards. It typically has a minimum lot size of 3,500 square feet. The minimum lot size proposed is 4,590. Yeah, 4,590. The street layout was designed for this level of development, and so the streets should meet those capacity needs. And the water and sewer was anticipated for this development as it's been planned through the Pioneer Meadows Plan Development Handbook for quite some time, since 2000, when that handbook was originally approved. Well, let me move forward, sorry. As you can see, the layout here will require the extension of Wingfield Hills Drive to get to the second entrance. There were conditions proposed. We sat down with the applicant and worked out those conditions to talk about what's going to happen with that road. Wingfield Hills Road is or will be an RTC road, and so there are some machinations that need to happen through that process that make it a little bit more complicated than just, they need to build the road. There are some other moving pieces there. The conditions that you have before you that in regard to it will require that an emergency access is built for the first phase. This is planned to be a phased implementation of this tentative map. There will be a southern phase that will essentially occupy more or less this area. This area here. The applicant indicated that probably about 88 units in that first phase. At the time that is applied for, they will have to submit construction drawings for an emergency access to come into the secondary access area, and then there will have to be, when the second phase comes in, at the point at which they submit for a final map for a map that includes the 90th unit, they will need to provide the construction drawings for the entirety of the rest of Wingfield Hills Road. We're working through that with them. Those conditions were what we discussed with the applicant and came to terms that seemed appropriate on both sides. We came to the understanding that while an emergency access will be required for that first phase, ultimately we do need secondary access for vehicular traffic as the second phase comes through, and that will allow for that to happen. That's the end of my presentation. I know the applicant is here if you have specific questions about the project. If you have any questions for me, I'm available to answer those.
Any questions from the commission to the staff, please?
I do, Mr. Vice Chairman. Thank you. Couple questions, Ian, about finding T6 in the staff report. My first question is relating to schools. I just want to get my head wrapped around this this issue here. It appears that we're going to create the tentative map will create 39 additional students at Sepulveda, 9 students at Shaw, and then 19 at Spanish Springs. So, as I understood it under the in the staff report, that with the additional mobile units at the high school and middle school, and then I think Sepulveda might be going to a year-round schedule, we won't be. Just wonder if you could address that part of it.
It's hard for us to address some of those questions directly. The city can't require, or I don't know, Armando may be more articulate on this matter, but essentially the city can't require or really use those as a determining basis what the school occupancy load is of whether or not they'll approve a project. We feel it is important information for you to understand and to know what's happening, but my understanding is that it's not information you use to approve or deny a project. Now, what I can tell you from the letter that was sent to us from the school district is exactly like you said. There are existing mobile units at Shaw and at Spanish Springs High School that will not cause them to be over, well, one of them doesn't even hit 100% capacity, and one, it stays underneath 120, which is that tipping point for additional measures, you know, whether that's year-round scheduling or different thing like that. My understanding is, though, that 120% does not necessarily mean for sure they're going to go to a year-round schedule. I believe it means that that's one of their options that maybe have to be taken in order to address their occupancy load. They may also be busing to different schools, is my understanding of what that means.
Vice Chairman Peterson and members of the commission, I'm Armando Ornelas, Assistant Community Services Director. Just to elaborate on Ian's point, in referencing the letter from the school district dated August 31st of this year, they are requesting a condition, and we have consistently seen this condition from the school district when we have schools that are potentially pushed beyond their capacity by a project. And it reads, a disclosure shall be made by the developer to each home buyer / renter on the closing / rental documents that K to 12 students in this subdivision may be assigned to the nearest Washoe County School District schools with available capacity in the event that the zone schools cannot accommodate additional students. We, as the city of Sparks, don't have any authority to enforce this condition after the fact. So we have not made it one of our conditions. Certainly, the school district has provided this letter to the developer. They are aware of it. But to Ian's point, we are not adding it as a condition to the city's approval. So that's how we've addressed it. Certainly, depending on the magnitude of the problem, certainly something that the planning commission could take into account, in terms of the findings. But that's the explanation for why we haven't conditioned.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando.
And another question, if I may, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Kind of to shift gears on T6 here. Looking at the the master plan designation for this property is MF15 or equivalent.
The master plan designation is I don't believe it is MF15A. That's the designation inside of the handbook for this area. But I do believe that the master plan designation is like 15 units per acre. We have enough designations, I can't remember exactly the way it's worded, but it follows that density, the 15 units per acre.
So my question is, what would be the max density allowed on this property, the 23 acres?
Max density is 15 dwelling units per acre.
Okay, so that'd be like 345. I did that on my iPhone.
Yeah, in that neighborhood, yes, correct.
Okay, and then my last question, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. My question is if, so we're going from max of 345 units to 140 as proposed, will that have a fiscal impact in terms of we're going to be losing units, we might be losing residential construction tax collections or impact fees? Would that affect our ability to build schools or a fire station in this area?
Well, we have not required a fiscal impact analysis with this project. That would have been done, essentially with the handbook. In the future, under certain circumstances, if the new comp plan is adopted with the proposed policies, something like this could trigger, depending on the scale of it, could trigger a new fiscal analysis where we would be looking at those things. But without the benefit of the new fiscal analysis, I frankly can't address that question.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? If not, so would the applicant like to come forward and address this issue? Please state your name.
Good evening, Tim Scheideman with Lennar Community.
Do we have any questions of the applicant?
I just have one, maybe John wants to come up, take a picture of Tim up here. That's the second time in a week. Tim, I don't think there's any questions, but thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll bring this item back to the commission for a discussion and vote.
Mr. Chairman, comment if I may.
Go ahead, Heidi.
Thank you. Appreciate staff following up on my questions. I think, just for the record, I think reviewing the tentative map as it is proposed and looking at the measures that are in place at Sepulveda and Shaw and Spanish Springs, I believe that with those additional mobile units and them going to year-rounds at Sepulveda, I think we can make that finding with this particular project. I think that's something we'll have to take a look at further, and I appreciate staff following up on my off-the-wall master plan question. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further discussions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion. I move to forward a recommendation of approval for the tentative map for Pioneer Meadows Plan Unit Development Village 10 associated with PCN 16043, adopting findings T1 through T12 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval 1 through 11 as listed in the staff. Oh, excuse me. 13. Okay, 1 through 13 as listed in the staff report. Thank you.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. We'll move on. Under general item, business again, of BCN 16045, consideration of a possible action on a request to approve the building elevations for approximately 4,550 square feet, drive-through restaurant Chick-fil-A, 1565 East Lincoln Way, Zone C, I guess that is, in Sparks Municipal Plan Development Handbook for possible action.
Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, Ian Crittenden, Senior Planner. To give you just a little background on this specific item, inside of the Legends of Sparks Marina, the way that they did what was called site plan reviews at the time, what we would call administrative review now, is they did not do them per parcel or per piece. They did them in zones. They sectioned up the Legends into, I believe, A through, I think, potentially F zones. And A, which is the main part, actually ended up with a couple of different subsections throughout the process. This Zone C was initially had one kind of junior tenant, large box, I believe it was supposed to be a JCPenney's. That application went away. It never moved forward. The Red Development came in with a new administrative review. They amended that old one, put in a new one that it sectioned this into smaller tenancies for restaurants and similar kind of items. This is the first elevations for the first location that has come in for Chick-fil-A. This is a smaller site. This is a site plan just to give you an idea of where this is at. Here's Lincoln Way. There's the gas station there, Sparks Boulevard, and Big Fish Drive. And the location for the Chick-fil-A will be here on the corner coming in. Give you a site plan of the site that's a little closer in, and here are the elevations that they've proposed. The requirements from the handbook require that the elevations meet the City of Sparks through our zoning code, our commercial design standards, which this building does, but also says that it should be similar to or blend with the other architecture in the Legends as a whole. This building's design and materials are similar to those used other places. It's primarily brick and stucco, and it meets those standards that we have in both materials, colors, and articulation, both vertically and horizontally. There was a question of what the white doors on this section of the building were. That's actually an external electrical box, so it's pretty standard for this kind of development, but you know, it was a very good question of what exactly are we looking at, and that's what that is. That is the extent of the presentation I have. Some of these are so short that sometimes I feel like I should have more to say, but that's the extent of that. The representative from Chick-fil-A is here, so they can speak if you have specific questions. Otherwise, my presentation is done, and I'm available.
Do we have any questions of staff?
Yeah, Ian, did you have a picture of the overall where the property was going to be located?
Yeah. That was the first one that I was showing you.
There you go, gotcha.
That's the larger site. That is essentially Zone C.
So
That's
it's where the
highlighted in blue,
gotcha.
and it's just this corner area here. That parcel has not yet been cut, and so I can't pull it up
Gotcha.
specific to exactly where that's
Thank
at.
you.
Thank you very much. The applicant care to come forward and
It's the same thing.
Good
State-
evening.
state your name, please?
Yes, Ryan Robinson, 4G Development here representing Chick-fil-A. Happy to answer any questions for you this evening.
You don't have anything to add to this, you just want questions, right?
Only thing I would like to add, when we actually go over to the camera, I want to pull up the floor plan just to specify the question about the outside door.
Correct.
Just to
Sure.
put that to rest. Excellent. Actually this. Oh, okay. Yeah, so just the comment I want to make is the doors on the back are to match the ephes that we have on the top, the parapet of the building, so that's where the color selection came from. And then specifically, the doors are access to the switchgear, the metering cabinet, so that Nevada Energy has access to that.
Thank you for clearing that up, because there was questions on that.
Absolutely.
Do we have any questions of this applicant?
How much are the pizzas there?
I'd like to, well, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Only chicken pizza, right?
question, Tom.
I will then bring it back to the commission for comments and a motion. But before they go, you don't mind Vice Chair making a comment. As I was looking at this elevations the other day, and my wife was looking over my shoulder, and I says, you know, I'd like that. I said, I really like these elevations. And she says, well, you were a brick mason for 45 years. Why wouldn't you like it?
That's funny.
So it took an attorney to put her input into that. I hope you appreciate it.
That's great.
So is there any further comments or motions, please?
Mr. Vice Chair?
Go right ahead.
Make a motion. I move to approve the building elevations for an approximately 4,550 square foot drive-through restaurant, Chick-fil-A, located at 1565 East Lincoln Way, Zone C, in fulfillment of the requirements listed in the Legends at Sparks Marina Plan Development Handbook associated with PCN 16045.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. I come to the point for public comment, but I don't see much of a public out there. If there is anyone who wishes to speak, you may come forward. If not, I'll bring it back for comment from the commission.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to see glad to see Mr. Martini here with the Cubs and Dodgers game on this evening.
Comment, if I may, Mr. Vice Chair. I just wanted to thank publicly Mayor Martini and the Sparks City Council for the opportunity and the appointment to serve on this commission. It's a great honor to be able to serve the city of Sparks once again. I also wanted to publicly acknowledge Doug Voles for his service. I served with Doug many years ago on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I was surprised he was still on the Planning Commission, quite frankly. I'd also like to thank staff for taking the time out to orient me and give me some good information on the job that we all have to do. And I hope the Wolfpack wins the homecoming game on Saturday. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We all feel the same way, of course, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
If not, I entertain an adjournment.
So moved.
Second.